pretty simple. I win.
Hello, guys. Welcome to Indiana Sports Connection. I am your residential anchor, Aaron. Thank you so much for being here, being part of this community. So, huge game for the Hoosiers last night against Penn State. Bear with me. I have had strep throat for the whole week. So, that is why I have not really been making many videos this week. So, thank you so much for being here and being part of this community. We got a lot to talk about. The record-breaking night by LAMAR Wilkerson last night. We'll talk about that, who played well, and really what to take from the last two games, losing to Minnesota, then losing to Louisville, what you can really take out of those games. I have a clip of Darren DeVries, what he said after the game, like how they were analyzing what happened in some of the previous games when they weren't playing that well, and how maybe they figured something out on this team, but they definitely got a lot of confidence playing Penn State last night. I do have a contest on the channel. So at 3,600 subscribers, I will just pick one subscriber. So subscribe to the channel, and I have a giveaway. I will give away a t-shirt from Home Field Apparel at 3,600 subscribers. So do that. Hit the subscribe button. Leave your comments down below. What do you think of the record-breaking night by LAMAR Wilkerson? What do you think is in store for this Hoosiers team against Kentucky this weekend? It's going to be a huge, monumental game, and we know that Kentucky has been really far down. So leave your comments about that and all stuff pertaining to Indiana sports in the comment section is welcomed. I respond to all comments. So thank you so much for everybody for, joining the community and joining in the conversation, and hit that thumbs up button. It helps pump the video out to more Hoosier fans across the country, across the globe. You never know where they are. They're coming in from everywhere. We do have some people from faraway places that watch the channel, so I always enjoy hearing their comments. But without further ado, let's get into talking about the Indiana Hoosiers. Right now, we got, and I'm so sick. This is the note card from the last game, but I did not take notes during this game. It was an absolute drubbing from Indiana, and they just got right off to it. I mean, they hit like 4 threes to start the game out. They ended up the game. They were 17 of 31 on 3-pointers on the game. So a pretty monumental night for Indiana. But the record-breaking guy, LAMAR Wilkerson, hits 10 3-pointers, which the previous record was held by Whitmer, Robert Johnson, and somebody else. We're all tied at 9. But and I'm sure I just read who it was just a second ago, and my brain fog is on high alert. But it was a great game to watch Indiana just kind of like take care of. You could tell the frustration they had from the last two games. And this is what I want to talk about leading up to this game. Like, so the Minnesota game was a very frustrating game. Indiana just seemed like they were struggling to shoot the ball, didn't shoot well, kind of got it, but they were right in that game till the very end. And the Louisville game, I want to make this point about the Louisville game. They got behind in that game 16-0. Because when I was watching the press conference afterwards and listening to DeVries, I mean, Indiana scored 51 points in the second half of that game. So, I mean, from the beginning of the game, after they got way behind, and they played a decent second half to score 51 points, although they, gave up 48, which they were struggling to stop Louisville. But my point is, that game is not as bad as it looks on paper. It felt like a humongous loss in our brains, and it did to me too. And get a hair on my lip. But Indiana, it wasn't as bad as it looked in that Louisville game. They hung in there till the end. And then in this game against Penn State last night, they really helped themselves big time in the metrics after having those two bad games, because they were falling in the metrics and they were falling in KenPom. Now they rose back up. They're right in between Kentucky and North Carolina, I believe, in KenPom. They're at 21 or 21, I believe. And in the net, they dropped significantly after this Penn State game, down to let's see. I just saw it here. Here we go. In the net, they dropped from 28 to 21 in Ken Palm, and from 31 to 20 in the net ranking. So, staying in that range. You just in the net ratings, you want to be in the 40s or below to have a chance to get in the tournament. So Indiana's inside of that range right now. But let's talk about the game, about some of the players in this game that really stepped up. Reed Bailey did not start in this game. That was one of the discoveries from watching this. He finally kind of switched that up and put Sam Alexis in. That being said, Reed Bailey played one of his best games. He brought a lot more energy off the bench in this particular matchup. And whether or not that's because he did get benched and he had more motivation, it was just Reed Bailey was just taking it to anybody he was in front of. He ends up the night, it was like 6 for 6, got to the foul line sometimes, and just a super efficient night by Reed Bailey doing the things he was doing out there. So good afternoon, Rick Bustos. I see you here. So yeah, that was great out of him. I thought Tate Connerway played a great game in this game, driving, making some plays in the lane, using his body to kind of contort himself and make some different shots. Had a really nice drive, like in the first half, going up the right side. So I just thought he was really forcing the issue. Connor Enright and him both played remarkable defense. And Penn State, their defense was non-existent. I mean, this looked like a Mike Woodson team because, I mean, they just let LAMAR Wilkerson stand out there, and almost some of these threes he almost shot in slow motion. He was shooting them so like much in rhythm, you just kind of knew, like, yep, that one's going in. There was one he shot in the corner that maybe looked like it was a little bit rushed, but Penn State wasn't doing anything to try to move him off of the spot at all. And don't you hate it when the iPhone changes the way they do their internet? I just updated my phone the other day. Maybe you're dealing with this as well and you can relate. But a night where, Tucker DeVries did not score that many points. Oh, and the other thing, I mean, it's not just the 3-point record. I mean, it's the scoring record for Assembly Hall that he broke. I believe it was Steve Alford, 42 points was the Assembly Hall scoring record before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so a historic night in that way. I mean, this has never happened at Assembly Hall. It's nice to have guys that can go out there and score like this. And, it's fun to watch a guy like this go out there and score 44 points in a game. But Tucker DeVries ended up 32 minutes, only 12 points, 6 assists. I mean, he did have some really nice assists to Wilkerson in this game. And Sam Alexis ends up with 0 points. He was one where I don't know if he was just out of his element or if it was just the game really didn't need him because we were hitting so many threes. That's what it seems more of in this game, because we got ahead by so much so fast. It was surprising that the scrubs didn't come in earlier, but it's good that this coaching staff knows, like, you have to finish these games out. You don't want like a Penn State to crawl back into a game like this and even make it like a 20-point game, because it really does matter in the metrics how you beat these teams, every single one of them. I don't care if they're Penn State or not, but Ristic got in the game and hit a 3-pointer. So, that was nice to see. The other guy, Nick Dorn, is really showing himself for Indiana to be a better outside shooting threat than I think any of us could have known. And maybe he's just on a real heater, but at the end of the Louisville game, he hits like 5 threes in that game, and it was really going on a heater there. And then, comes out in this game and hits some threes in this game as well. So Nick Dorn is like, he's kind of just in that work in progress that maybe in the Kentucky game, or maybe there will be a game where he gets his opportunity. We need somebody else. And, Tate Connerway hit 2 threes in this game. He's still finding his way and maybe getting a little bit more confident. And I know any guy on this team can take him. It's how much confidence do you have in them actually making a difference? Like Connor Enright, can he have a game where he hits he just doesn't shoot very much. So he doesn't really shoot more than 1 or 2 a game. He's just not going to do that. Um, Peyton Conaway can hit him. Nick Doran seems to be that guy who he has confidence to take more of them than like a Connor Enright does. Could he be that guy off the bench in that position that kind of like helps the team score? Because the other thing amazing about LAMAR Wilkerson, he only played 24 minutes in this game. So he just played over a half of basketball, broke all those records, and he was good inside out in this game, not just from the 3-point line, but he was good driving. And that I've talked about, like his driving skills he needs to get some little bit more variation of like what moves he does when he goes inside, because against these guys it looked okay, but against some better competition, a lot of our guys they got to be more aggressive when they drive the ball in. That we seem to like drive the ball in, get really scared about what might happen if we like take it all the way to the hoop. This game where Reed Bailey and some of the guys like Tate and Conaway, they were a lot more aggressive. I guess that's where it's really at for this Indiana team. They need to win a game like this. They need to really, I think this Kentucky game is the perfect game for them to play, because Kentucky is a little bit, they're just kind of like on the fritz a little bit right now. And, Indiana is a team that is looking for confidence and looking to, break into that top 25. Kentucky was more like last year's Indiana team, where they were ranked pretty high to start the season. They got some pretty good players coming in. And then, they're really, I don't think they're ranked at all now. So these are two teams kind of like going in opposite directions. Can Indiana show up in this Kentucky game and really find their confidence and really find what they, against a better team, find that confidence? That's really what I'm trying to say, because that's really where it's at. We've seen that like Reed Bailey, LAMAR Wilkerson, Tucker DeVries, I feel like he can compete against anybody. I don't think he's scared of anybody, but there are some times where there are times in the last 3 games where I felt like LAMAR Wilkerson was kind of like maybe shies away from the moment or gets frustrated in these games. You can just kind of tell it by his facial expressions and things, and some of the other guys too. So hopefully this Penn State game gives Indiana a lot of confidence going into this Kentucky game, because that's really kind of where it starts. They got Kentucky and then a couple of games off, and then you got pretty big games starting. I know the beginning of January we have a easy Big Ten schedule, but it's gonna start pretty quick. I was listening to Kentucky radio too, and they are saying that this Indiana game, and Kentucky won big last night. They played like a nobody school and scored 100 points, but they were saying on Kentucky radio that this is a must-win game for Kentucky. So it is like they haven't played Indiana in a long time. They kind of view us as probably like, this is almost like an even up matchup, like where we're ranked. The only difference is they're playing at Rupp Arena, which is going to be a really difficult place to play. This Indiana team has not won a road game yet. We played the one road game at Minnesota. They should be really pissed off about that. And go into this Kentucky game like, yeah, we got to win like a big road game and prove that we can win a game on the road. That's going to be easier said than done, because just playing at Rupp Arena, it is just not going to be a friendly confines of Indiana waltzing in there after 4 years, after 10 years of not playing them. We played them in 2016, but since Calipari in like 2012, that was the last time we went up against these guys. But other stats in this game, Connor Way ended up with 17. So, I mentioned him. It was a pretty good night for him, and I felt like he got into his groove. Connor Enright ended up with 8 assists in this game. Connor Enright's killing it. DeVries said after the game, so they were talking about, they asked him the question, what kind of like, did you see things in the offense? Did you see things? And I also want to point out, him compared to Mike Woodson, we never got these kinds of answers out of Mike Woodson or Archie Miller. It's just kind of like straight up telling you the thought process that the coaches have. like that they are trying to figure it out. And when there's a problem, they're going to address it, and they're going to address the problem to the media. I thought that was good. But here's Darren DeVries talking about, what they kind of saw in those last two games, and then what the adjustments they were making.
Yeah, we had gone back, after the Minnesota game, and looked at some of the offensive, like what caused it, because it was, there wasn't a lot of movement and things. So as we went backwards, looking at some games early in the season, comparing it to now, it stood out pretty good. So we put a ton of time here this last week on just getting more actions, more movement. And sometimes you can't always do that. People deny you can't just throw the ball from side to side. So at some point you still have to be able to go make a play. But I thought the guys did a really good job tonight keeping the ball, as we like to say, hot. Keep it hot and keep it moving. And player and ball movement I thought was really good tonight.
Maybe than Zach.
Yeah, I mean, it's good that he's taking these things into account and then trying to figure out like what the actual problem is. Now, yeah, some of that was Louisville. I mean, they were really a hard team. Like, the hardest thing is when they're going to guard your guys bringing the ball up the court. And I can see this with Conaway even a little bit in this Penn State game. It just makes it harder to see, really, when a guy is guarding you really tight. Like, what is the solution to that problem? For me in Indiana, I don't like it when Conaway keeps and holds the ball too long up around the 10-second line. I'd much rather see them get like another person involved and either go cross court and then up the sideline or something like that. I like to just see the ball get pushed up early on in the season. And this was probably when all the stuff was super fresh in their brain that they were being taught by DeVries. They weren't doing that. They weren't. Conaway would rarely ever walk the ball up the court. So who knows? I mean, I think they got to play a fast game against Kentucky, and I think we're gonna get a lot of. I think it's gonna be a high scoring game, but I think we're gonna beat Kentucky. You mark my words. Yeah, I am too. But like they've never said that he was like officially out. Stephen Daly. I've seen so many rumors or whatever, but until Indiana like officially puts out, I guess, that he's injured, I guess we just don't know. Hey yo, Justin Beard, how you doing? And right, needs to take at least 4 or 5 shots a game. Something. I agree. I do want to see a little bit more out of him. He practically takes like 1-3, maybe drives one time. I hope Bailey keeps coming off the bench. That gives him some fire. Yes, and I do think Bailey, for some reason, last night he was off the bench. I don't know if that was just his one on, one off again nature of his play. Yeah, it was a blowout win before the Kentucky game, so it wasn't like some competitive win. I mean, I had to give Indiana a lot of confidence, but they were coming off of 2 really, really tough losses, and so it was nice to see them blow somebody out. But I'll make a video later this week, and we'll talk about what's going on with the football team, and we'll talk about the Kentucky game on Saturday, more about the particulars of like I've been watching them a lot, like how Kentucky plays, like who to watch out for, and how to kind of like isolate them and bottle them up. They don't share the ball that well. They're a team that plays for each other, and if you start guarding guys really tight and they just don't play for each other and they don't pass the ball around that much, they just make it easy for you. And we'll talk about more of that in the video later this week. But hope you all are having a fantastic Wednesday. It is like sloshy and it's just a big slush mess up here in Fort Wayne. So I'm ready to get this sickness over with and actually finish some of the videos I've been working on too. So, but thank you so much, guys, for joining me on this episode of Indiana Sports Connection. Until next time, stay classy out there, Hoosier fans.